Now, following all of this, earlier this week, the stepmother, who was also on the ship, Chantel Hudson, she filed, her former husband filed an emergency motion for temporary relief. Now, this former husband is also the father of this stepbrother, the suspect in this death right now. Now, this temporary emergency motion, pretty much a temporary resolution to a family court matter while something urgent gets sorted out, in this case, specifically here, this tragic death. Now, the filing addresses the 16-year-old suspect, saying the respondent took the remaining minor children on a cruise with the stepchild of her paramour. The 16-year-old child is now a suspect in the death of the stepchild during the cruise. While released from custody, the 16-year-old child is residing with a third party. Now, Vinny, of course, the stepmom has filed a response that was earlier this week on Tuesday. That response reads, with regard to the minor child, TH, that's the stepson, the parties signed a stipulation on or about November 17th, 2025, that the minor child, TH, will be living with a relative of the respondent/mother. This was to ensure the safety of the youngest child of the parties, as well as the safety of the remaining child of the stepfather. The respondent/father is believed to have hired counsel for the minor child, TH, due to the alleged incident involving TH and the death of the child of the stepfather. Thus, the petitioner/father is well aware and has participated in the immediate safety concerns, and he, in fact, agreed to the placement of TH with the mother's relative. The mother is also providing counseling for the remaining minor child regarding this tragic situation. Again, the father is aware of this.
So I have so many questions here. Now, the 16-year-old slept in the cabin with the 18-year-old underneath the bed. No doubt he put her underneath there. Consciousness of guilt, premeditation? I think so, right? And then he goes to breakfast with the 14-year-old, fully knowing what he did, if in fact he did do it, and I believe he did, right? Now, the cleaners discover the body, right? And now the whole protocol of death investigation, and probably in a lot of these instances, Carnival Cruise Line is not just worrying about what had occurred, but worrying about what their liability is, what their culpability is, what can they be held accountable for as a corporation that hosted this party, right? Party meaning this family and their sleeping arrangements. Can they be held liable? And then I have lots of questions about since this is a crime scene on a moving cruise line, how good was it as compared to a crime scene that would have taken place on land? It's out at sea. When were the experts brought onto that ship when it got back to Miami to process the crime scene? I would think so, right? Is that where and when they processed the body on the scene, right? So that also is not ideal in regards to collecting the evidence. They didn't find out probably that the 16-year-old was a suspect, maybe for days later, maybe when these family court documents came out, listing him as a suspect. So if he was a suspect from minute one, they would have done certain investigative steps. For example, processed his body, looked at his body for signs of the victim fighting back, scratches, bruises. And of course, on Anna, underneath her fingernails, see if the DNA of the 16-year-old was there. So was this a professional crime scene process? And just because people hear the three letters FBI doesn't mean they did everything correctly, all right? The FBI makes mistakes, trust me, all right? But that is so important. And now we all question the fact, like, well, he's a suspect. And this happened on November 7th. It's November 23rd. And he still hasn't been arrested. Why? Why not? What are we waiting for now? Why are we waiting for him to get arrested? That's a question that I have. I absolutely have that question. And the FBI will never answer that question because they are noted for keeping it close to the vest. That is the way the FBI does business. This is again from News Nation with Ashley Banfield.
More about what we know regarding the cause of death of Anna Kepner.
Hi, Ashley. Yeah, it's very complicated. As you mentioned, this blended family. I do want to address something, though, that was mentioned in that hearing today about the drinking on board. Carnival, I looked it up. They have a policy. It's 21 and up. So, I mean, we can dive into that later, but to my knowledge and understanding, it is 21 and up. So the teens getting a hold of alcohol in international waters, I don't think that really matters as far as Carnival's policy is concerned. And the other thing that you mentioned that came out of that hearing that was so interesting was they were rooming together. So a source close to the investigation says that it was death by asphyxiation with a bar hold. And what that tells me, this is a close contact killing. There was likely some sort of altercation. Of course, this needs to be confirmed by the FBI, which is still being tight-lipped, and the medical examiner's office still not officially giving us that cause and manner of death. We checked in with them this afternoon, and they have not given that to us officially. This is coming from sources. But what this tells me is there may have been some sort of altercation in that room, and it takes at least 30 seconds of constant pressure on the neck for someone to die from asphyxiation with a bar hold.
Well, I mean, that is really in depth.
That's, I don't know if that's accurate. You watch Ultimate Fighting, and 10 seconds, 5 seconds, someone goes unconscious. So I don't think it takes 30 seconds to take someone's life, of a bar hold. Anyway, we'll wait for the medical examiner's report to come out on that.